People ask you that a lot. How you doing?
Yeah, well, early on it was kind of the old, how you doing? Everything okay? I hate that. I'm doing great.
Right.
Everything's fine.
I know.
You got a problem with that? That's how you feel.
Yeah, I know. It was one of those losses that just to anybody would think that that will leave a mark. And yet, the way the Ravens handled it to a man was really something else, to be very honest with you.
Well, for you to say that, really, Rich, to be honest with you, it means a lot. That's really what is at stake. And you talk to your guys and you talk to your team, it's football, it's life. Things happen, good things happen. We were a hair away from going to the Super Bowl. We were right there. And then it didn't happen, and all of a sudden it was a devastating type of a thing. But really what it's about is how you treat one another, how you respond to adversity, We talk to our guys the old Kipling poem, triumph and disaster. Meet those two and treat them both just the same. And I'm really proud of our guys. I think it says a lot about who we are as a team.
Yeah, seeing what went down in your locker room. That video of Ray Lewis, his speech to the team.
Don't ever drop your head when it comes to a loss, dog, because there's too much pain outside of this that people really going through. This right here makes us stronger. Let's understand who we are as a team. Let's understand who we are as men. And let's make somebody smile when we walk out of here.
What was it like being a coach, listening to a team leader?
Well, it was fulfilling. I mean, it makes you feel like, we're where we want to be. As a coach, you're building a team, trying to drive a bunch of guys, trying to push them together as a team, unite them as a group, and make them really care about one another. And then for Ray to put voice to that, as only he can, so eloquently and so passionately, that's everything.
Can you bring Billy Cundiff back into that locker room?
Oh, yeah.
You think? And kick?
He's back in the locker room. He's already back. He was there. We've even put him on the bus and put him on the plane. We didn't leave him back in Boston.
Yes, you did, in fact, do that.
he got a ride back. And Billy's too good. He's too good not to. Those are kicks that he's going to make over and over and over again. And people fall down in life. People get fired from their jobs. People lose their homes. It's not their fault. Billy went out there and missed a kick. You come back and you bounce back. You give a guy another chance. Billy's earned it. We wouldn't have been there without Billy Cundiff. So.
Right. Where do you think Flacco is as you get set for 2012, Coach?
Well, I think he's the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. That's where he's at. Someone just asked me, where do you rank him? Well, I rank him number one. He's our guy. He's our number one guy. And, for the next 5 years in the National Football League, our plan is for him to be the best quarterback in football. Now we got to be the best team around him to do that. It's a team sport, That's our plan. We'll make him the best quarterback.
And him with his offensive coordinator. That's all people talk about him and Cam. They're butting heads.
I don't know
they really can't be on the same page.
It's crazy. And both of those guys just scoff at that, And both of those guys are pros. They work real hard. It was a really good year with Cam and Joe being together in that meeting room every single day. And I think what it drove was a long-term quarterback with the guy who's the primary author of the offense. They got to communicate one-on-one and kind of meld together as far as the way they were thinking. That's really important. It's more ideal to have a quarterback coach in the long run. That's why when the opportunity came to bring Jim Caldwell in, he was the perfect fit that way. So now Jim can kind of push it forward from there. But it was a worthwhile year to have those two guys together in the same room.
How much longer do you think you're going to have Ray Lewis at your disposal,
Man,
Coach?
I don't know. Long as possible. I'm not looking to make a change anytime soon.
I'm sure you're not. Do you ever pause and think that at some point I'm going to be coaching this team and I won't be looking out there and seeing 52 out there or going in the locker room and seeing him bring the men together and put everything in the way that only Ray can?
Yeah, it's going to be a moment, It's going to be, and when that happens, I think Ray's going to know he's always going to be a part of it. He's always going to be welcome, Heck, he goes back to '96. He and Jonathan Ogden were the first two Ravens drafted. Ray Lewis is the face of the Ravens. Maybe we'll put a statue right down there in the tunnel coming out, doing his dance.
Yeah, right.
We'll rub it, rub his head coming out of the
Right,
way
you can
out.
get steam coming out every time.
But we don't have to worry about that yet. He's still going to play for a while.
Right. So what do you look at the Combine as? I'd love to see what your philosophy is here, because obviously there's many pieces to the puzzle. Pro days, medical, you look at the eye in the sky from these kids' Saturdays for as many times as they've been out there on the field.
Well, I think everybody's got their own role. For the head coach, your role is to kind of start shaking hands with these guys, both athletically as football players and as people. So you have these interviews and you talk to them and you get to know them, and now you know them. We've begun a relationship. I watch tape between the workouts, so I'm starting to really dig into the tape. You watch them train. You see how they move around. And you come out of here going, okay, now I've been introduced to the draft class. And then those are the guys that are going to be playing in the National Football League. You only get 7 of them or so.
Right.
But there's going to be another couple hundred that are going to be playing on other teams. So, now you have an acquaintance with those guys that you're playing against as well.
So let's take Torrey Smith, for instance.
Yeah, we knew about Torrey just because he's a Terp, you know. So then we got to know him, and I just was blown away in the interview. It's funny, we had a draft meeting before the combine, and I was reading this Washington Post article on his background, and I got to admit, you know, I got choked up. You know, we're sitting, all the scouts are rather talking about this player, and I'm like, you know, sort of, you know,
Sure.
wow, you know. And so it was easy to get to know Torrey because I felt like I already knew him a little bit, and he was a Ravens fan anyway. I was just happy that he was there, you know, when we picked in the second round. For him to still be there, you felt like that was kind of Providence at work.
Obviously, Championship Sunday wasn't just bad result for you. Two brothers, a step away, one each from the Super Bowl, and then not exactly your typical losses either. What was that like for your family as a whole?
But I'd heard, you know, it was going into overtime. By the time I got off the plane and into the car, the game was over. And I didn't know what had gone down, how the game had gone. Then you get back home and watch the highlights, and you're like, oh, come on, you know, they were right there.
Right.
You know, that's the feeling that you have. And the same thing we had in our game. I know Jim said, you know, he watched it up there on the board as his game was getting started. You know, you guys are right there. That about describes it, you know, and it's always going to be there. But, you know, by the same token, it's pretty cool. Hey, if they'd have written a script in a movie and we'd have both made it to the Super Bowl Jim's first year, no one would have believed it anyway.